Yes! We did it!
But let me back up 2 months because that's where this whole mess really started. The thing about small towns is everyone thinks they know your business. Millbrook wasn't any different. Population 8,400, where the hardware store owner's wife knew what you bought for dinner before you got home to cook it. Where the coffee shop had the same regulars every morning, discussing the same gossip like it was breaking news. I'm Nate Sullivan, 36 years old, and I used to think I had it all figured out. Ran Sullivan Construction. Well, ran might be generous. More like desperately kept alive. 3 employees, 2 trucks, and 1 wife who made it clear daily that my business wasn't impressive enough for her social media posts. Tara Sullivan née Hoffman was the kind of beautiful that made other men stare and their wives hate her. Blonde hair that never had a strand out of place, legs that went on for days, and a smile that could sell ice to Eskimos, which coincidentally was exactly what she did for a living. Real estate in Millbrook wasn't exactly Manhattan, but Tara acted like every ranch house was a penthouse. "Nate, did you remember to pick up the dry cleaning?" she asked that Tuesday morning, not looking up from her phone. She was scrolling through Instagram, double-tapping photos of houses that cost more than I'd make in 5 years. "Yeah, it's in the car." I poured coffee into my thermos, already running late. "Mrs. Patterson wants her kitchen done by Friday." Still scrolling. "House burned down yesterday. All hands lost." "That's nice, honey." I stopped pouring. "Tara." She looked up annoyed. "What?" "I said the house burned down." She blinked. "What house?" "Never mind." I grabbed my keys. "I'll be home around 6. "Actually, I'm showing the Morrison property tonight. Big client. Might be late." The Morrison property. 3-bedroom colonial on Elm Street. I'd driven past it yesterday. No for sale sign, no realtor box. But hey, what did I know? I just built houses. I didn't sell imaginary ones. "Sure thing. See you tomorrow then." She was already back to her phone before I finished talking. Work was work. Drywall doesn't care about your marriage problems, and neither do electrical outlets. Mike Rodriguez, Big Mike we called him, 6'4" and built like a linebacker, was helping me install kitchen cabinets when my phone buzzed. Text from Tara. "Working late again tonight. Don't wait up." "Let me guess," Mike said, holding up a cabinet door. "Working late?" Mike was my oldest friend and the only guy I trusted completely. Ex-cop who'd left the force after 20 years to run security for the mall. Smart as hell, built like a truck, and had that cop instinct that could smell BS from 3 counties away. "How'd you know?" Same text she sent yesterday, and the day before, he lined up the hinges. "When's the last time you actually saw one of these mysterious clients?" "What are you suggesting?" Mike shrugged. "I'm not suggesting anything. I'm saying your wife works more nights than a vampire, and I've never seen her sell a house." I wanted to argue, but Mike had a point. Tara had been working late 3 nights a week for the past month. When I asked about showings, she gave vague answers about potential buyers and market research. "She's ambitious," I said. "Nothing wrong with that." "Nope, nothing wrong with ambition." Mike picked up his drill. "Just seems like her ambitions don't include spending time with her husband." That night, I sat in my kitchen eating microwaved leftover pizza, watching the local news. The weather guy promised rain for the weekend. The sports guy promised disappointment from the local baseball team. The anchor promised more news at 11. I promised myself I'd stop being paranoid about my wife. Tara came home at 11:30, smelling like expensive perfume and someone else's cologne. "How was the showing?" I asked. "Exhausting." She kicked off her heels. Client was very demanding, wanted to see everything twice. "Sell it?" Still thinking it over. These big decisions take time. She headed upstairs. "I'm taking a shower." I heard the water running and noticed her purse on the counter. Her phone was sticking out of the side pocket, screen up. The lock screen showed 2 missed calls from Quinn Bailey. I knew the name from Tara's occasional mentions. Her business partner at the real estate office, tall, good-looking guy who drove a silver BMW and wore suits that cost more than my truck payment. The shower was still running. I looked at the phone again. Don't be that guy, I told myself. Don't be the suspicious husband who checks his wife's phone. The water shut off. I went to bed without checking the phone, but I didn't sleep much. The next morning brought the first real clue. Tara was in the shower when her phone rang. I was getting dressed and heard it buzzing on the nightstand. "Quinn, work again." "Tara," I called. "Quinn's calling." "Take a message." she called back. I picked up the phone. Hello? Oh, a man's voice, surprised. Is this Nate? Yeah, Tara's in the shower. Want me to have her call you back? Long pause. No, that's fine. Just tell her the Johnson property showing is moved to Thursday. Will do. Thanks. He hung up fast. Real fast. Here's the thing about contractors. We notice details. When you're installing trim, a quarter-inch off means the whole room looks wrong. When you're laying tile, one crooked line ruins the entire floor. Quinn's voice was wrong, nervous, like he'd been caught doing something he shouldn't. I told Tara about the call when she got out of the shower. What did he say exactly? She asked. Johnson property showing moved to Thursday. She nodded, but I caught her expression in the mirror. Relief. I don't remember any Johnson property, I said. New listing. Came in yesterday. She was applying mascara with surgical precision. You wouldn't know it. Maybe not, but I knew my wife, and she was lying. The paranoia started small, checking the mileage on her car when she got home, noticing she'd started doing her hair differently, paying attention to the new lingerie that appeared in her drawer, lacy, expensive stuff she claimed was just for me, but she never wore it for me. Mike noticed the change in my mood immediately. You look like someone stole your lunch money, he said Thursday afternoon. We were installing bathroom fixtures in a new house on Maple Street. Tara's been acting weird. Weird how? Just different, secretive, working late all the time. Mike set down his wrench and looked at me seriously. Nate, you want some advice from someone who's been married and divorced twice? Not particularly. Trust your gut. If something feels off, it probably is. You think she's cheating? I think you're asking the wrong guy the wrong question. You should be asking yourself what you're going to do if she is. That afternoon, I drove past Tara's office. Her car wasn't there. Neither was Quinn's BMW. I called her phone. Hey, honey, she answered. Background noise sounded like a restaurant. Where are you? Office, doing paperwork. What's up? Nothing, just checking in. I might be late again tonight. Quinn and I are going over some contracts. Quinn and I, not Quinn and I and the other agents, not the office team, Quinn and I. Have fun, I said. Love you too. She hung up without saying she loved me. I sat in my truck outside her office for another 20 minutes. Neither her car nor Quinn's showed up. But I did see something interesting. A small red Honda parked in Quinn's usual spot. A Honda with a bumper sticker that read Millbrook High Class of 2005. Tara graduated from Millbrook High in 2007. The red Honda belonged to Sasha Winters, Tara's best friend since college. Sasha was one of those women who thrived on drama, the type who knew everyone's secrets and used them like currency. What was Sasha doing at the real estate office after hours? I drove home with more questions than answers. That night, Tara came home at midnight. I pretended to be asleep when she slipped into bed, but I could smell it again. Cologne that wasn't mine, mixed with wine and something else. Something that reminded me of hotel soap. Friday morning, I made a decision that would change everything. I was going to follow my wife, not in some creepy stalker way, just one day, just to put my mind at ease, to prove to myself that I was being paranoid and stupid and that my wife was exactly where she said she'd be. Sometimes being wrong is the best thing that can happen to you. Sometimes it's the worst. I'm showing houses all afternoon, Tara announced over coffee. The Mitchell family is finally ready to buy. The Mitchells? I know Tom Mitchell. He told me just last week they weren't looking to buy anything until next year. Tara didn't miss a beat. Plans change. His wife got a promotion. What does she do again? Banking. She grabbed her keys. I really have to run. Big day. After she left, I called Tom Mitchell. We'd done some work on his garage last spring, and he'd always been straight with me. Tom, it's Nate Sullivan. Quick question. Tara mentioned you folks were looking at houses? Tom laughed. Houses? Hell no. We just refinanced this place. Won't be moving for at least 5 years. Why? Just curious. Thanks, Tom. My wife had lied to me. Again. I finished my morning coffee, called Mike to cover a small job, and decided to see exactly what Tara did during her big days. Following someone in a small town is harder than it looks in movies. Everyone knows your truck. But I'd borrowed Mike's old Ford. Beat up, generic, forgettable. Tara's first stop was Starbucks on Main Street. She ordered her usual, grande caramel macchiato with extra foam, and sat at a corner table, alone. She checked her phone constantly, typing messages and deleting them. Twice, she started to make a call and hung up before dialing. At 10:30, Quinn's silver BMW pulled into the parking lot. My stomach dropped. Quinn got out of his car and walked into Starbucks. He was tall, probably 6'2", with the kind of thick dark hair that belonged in commercials. Expensive suit, expensive shoes, expensive watch. The kind of guy who looked like he belonged with my wife. He sat across from Tara. Even from the parking lot, I could see her face light up when he walked in. They talked for 20 minutes, not like business partners discussing contracts, like lovers discussing plans. When Quinn reached across the table and touched her hand, I knew. When Tara leaned forward and smiled the way she used to smile at me, I knew. When they both got up and walked to his car together, I knew. I followed them to the Millbrook Inn, a little place on the outskirts of town that rented rooms by the hour to truckers and people who needed discretion. Quinn paid cash at the front desk. They walked to room 12. I sat in Mike's truck for 2 hours, watching the door to room 12, feeling like the world's biggest fool. They came out at 1:15. Tara's hair was different, messier, but in a way that looked intentional. Quinn had his arm around her waist until they reached the parking lot. Then they separated like oil and water. Professional distance, in case anyone was watching. Someone was. I followed Tara home, staying far enough back to avoid suspicion. She beat me to the house by 10 minutes. When I walked in, she was in the shower. "How was your day?" she called out. "Fine. How were the Mitchells?" "Great. They loved the Colonial on Oak Street. I think we might have a sale." There was no Colonial on Oak Street for sale. I checked. "That's wonderful," I said. "I'm proud of you." And I was. Proud of how easily she lied. Proud of how convincingly she played the part of a faithful wife. Proud of how stupid she must think I was. That night, I lay in bed next to my wife, listening to her breathe, and planned my next move. Some men would have confronted her immediately, screamed, demanded answers, thrown things. Some men would have filed for divorce the next morning. Some men would have done the mature thing, counseling, honest conversation, working through problems like adults. I wasn't some men. I was going to let Tara think she was winning. I was going to smile and nod and play the oblivious husband while I gathered evidence. I was going to learn everything about her affair, document it, and wait for the perfect moment to destroy both their lives. Sometimes the only way to win is to let them think they're winning. The weekend brought the family reunion at Riverside Park. Every year, the Hoffman family gathered for an afternoon of forced smiles, passive-aggressive comments, and potato salad that nobody really wanted. Tara's mother, Rhonda, ruled the family like a queen holding court. 62 years old, dyed red hair, and the kind of personality that made everyone walk on eggshells. She'd never liked me. Made that clear from day one. "Nathan," she said when we arrived, not bothering to hide her disappointment. "Still wearing those work boots, I see." "Still walking, so they must be working." She pursed her lips and turned to Tara. "Sweetheart, you look beautiful. That dress is stunning." Tara had worn a sundress that cost more than most people's rent. Yellow and white, showing just enough skin to be tasteful but memorable. She looked like money, which was ironic since we didn't have any. Grant, Tara's younger brother, was holding court near the picnic tables. 29 years old and convinced he was the next Steve Jobs because he'd launched some tech startup that nobody understood. He had that particular brand of arrogance that comes with a trust fund and no real-world experience. "Nate," he called out, "how's the hammer swinging business? Still building things people actually need?" "Right on, blue-collar warrior. Hey, did Tara tell you about my new app? It's going to revolutionize the gig economy." Everything was going to revolutionize something with Grant. Last year, it was blockchain. Before that, cryptocurrency. Now it was some app that connected freelancers with microtasks, which sounded suspiciously like every other app that already existed. "Sounds groundbreaking," I said. "It really is. I've got investors lined up. We're talking Series A funding by Christmas." Grant had been talking about Series A funding for 3 years. The afternoon dragged on. Tara mingled like a politician, working the crowd with that practiced smile. I noticed she kept checking her phone when she thought nobody was looking. Quinn wasn't here, of course. This was family only. But I'd bet money he was texting her. Around 4 o'clock, things went sideways. I was getting a beer from the cooler when I overheard Grant talking to his cousin Derek about me. "I don't know what Tara sees in him," Grant was saying. "Guy's a loser. No ambition, no money, no future." "Maybe she feels sorry for him," Derek replied. "More like she's stuck with him. But hey, Divorce is always an option, right? They laughed like this was the funniest thing they'd ever heard. I walked over with my beer, smiling like I hadn't heard anything. Hey, Grant, Derek, what's so funny? Oh, just talking about the future, Grant said. Big plans, you know? Some people have them, some people don't. Derek snickered. Speaking of plans, I said, how's that app coming along? Still going to change the world? Grant's face darkened. Actually, yeah, we're about to close a major deal. With who? That's confidential. Right. Well, good luck with your confidential, world-changing, micro-task, revolutionary blockchain app. I walked away before he could respond, but I heard Derek whisper, Dude, he's mocking you. I know he's mocking me, Grant hissed back. 20 minutes later, Grant approached the picnic table where I was sitting alone, eating potato salad and trying to look invisible. He was carrying a plate of spaghetti. Hey, Nate, he said, voice dripping with fake friendliness. Want some pasta? Mom made it special. I'm good, thanks. Come on, try some. He held the plate closer. It's really hot, fresh out of the pot. Something in his tone set off alarm bells, but before I could react, Grant accidentally tripped. The entire plate of scalding spaghetti landed on my head, sauce in my eyes, noodles in my hair, burning hot liquid running down my face and neck. The entire family reunion went silent. I stood up slowly, wiping sauce from my eyes, and looked at Grant. He was grinning like a kid who just pulled the perfect prank. Oops, he said. Clumsy me. Everyone was staring, waiting to see what I'd do. Tara appeared at my side. Nate, are you okay? Grant, that wasn't funny. But she was suppressing a smile. I could see it. It was an accident, Grant said loudly. Right, Nate? Just an accident. Right, said Rhonda. These things happen. Nathan, you should clean yourself up. And apologize, Grant added, for making such a scene. The family murmured agreement. Apologize for getting spaghetti dumped on my head, for having the audacity to be embarrassed. Tara leaned close to me. Just let it go, she whispered. You should take every insult and apologize. It's not worth fighting. I looked around at the Hoffman family, at their expectant faces, at their smug smiles, at my wife, who was supposed to have my back. I wiped the last of the sauce from my face and smiled at Grant. Then I punched him. Not a wild haymaker, not a sucker punch. A clean, straight right hand that caught him square in the nose and dropped him like a sack of cement. Grant hit the ground hard, warm fluid streaming from his nose, looking up at me with shock and terror. The family reunion erupted in chaos. People shouting, pointing, someone calling 911, Rhonda screaming about attack and lawsuits. I stood over Grant, flexing my sore knuckles, and said, That wasn't an accident. Then I walked to my truck and drove away. My phone started ringing before I hit the main road. Tara calling to scream at me. I let it go to voicemail. Then Grant called. Voicemail. Then Rhonda. Voicemail. By the time I got home, I had 17 missed calls. I sat in my kitchen, still picking noodles out of my hair, and made a decision that surprised even me. I opened my laptop and bought a one-way ticket to Hawaii, Honolulu, leaving tomorrow morning. The confirmation email arrived at 6:47 p.m. At 6:52 p.m., my phone started buzzing like an angry bee. By 7:15 p.m., I had 315 text messages and missed calls. Suddenly, everyone cared where I was going. Funny how that works. I ignored every call, every text, every voicemail. Instead, I packed a bag, called Mike to handle the business for a few days, and went to bed early. Tomorrow, I'd be drinking Mai Tais on a beach in paradise. Tonight, I'd enjoy the sound of my phone buzzing with panic from people who'd ignored me for years. Sometimes the best revenge is just leaving. But I wasn't done yet, not even close. The flight to Hawaii was peaceful. 6 hours of silence, no phone service, no family drama. Just me, a book I never opened, and the growing certainty that my marriage was over. I'd turned my phone back on when we landed in Honolulu. The voicemails were hilarious. Tara's first message, recorded 20 minutes after my flight took off. Nate, what the hell? Grant is talking about pressing charges. Where are you? Call me back immediately. Her tone got increasingly desperate with each message. Message 15. Nate, please, I'm sorry about the reunion. Grant was being an A. Just call me back. We need to talk. Message 32. I'm scared, Nate. You've never done anything like this before. Are you okay? Are you safe? Message 47. I love you. Whatever's wrong, we can fix it. Just come home. Too little, too late. I spent 3 days in Hawaii, sitting on beaches, drinking overpriced drinks, and thinking about my life. About 10 years of marriage that had slowly turned into 10 years of being taken for granted. About a wife who lied to my face and cheated with her business partner. About a family that treated me like hired help and expected me to apologize for their disrespect. About how good it felt to punch Grant in his smug face. On Wednesday, I flew back to Millbrook. Not because I'd forgiven anyone, but because running away wasn't going to solve anything. Besides, I had a plan now. Mike picked me up at the airport. He took one look at my face and started laughing. You look like a man who's made some decisions. A few. Good ones. We'll see. The first thing I did when I got home was change the locks. All of them. Front door, back door, garage. If Tara wanted to get into her own house, she'd have to ask permission. The second thing I did was call a lawyer. Jim Patterson, attorney at law. How can I help you? Jim was a friend from high school who'd stayed local and built a decent practice handling divorces and real estate disputes. He was smart, discreet, and had no love for cheating spouses. Jim, it's Nate Sullivan. I need to talk to you about a divorce. I'll be right over. Jim arrived an hour later with a briefcase full of paperwork and a grim expression. He'd been through this conversation hundreds of times. Tell me everything, he said. I told him about the affair, the lies, the disrespect, about Hawaii and my new perspective on marriage. You have any proof of the affair? I followed them to the Millbrook Inn, saw them go into a room together. That's circumstantial. Any photos, text messages, financial records showing payments for hotel rooms? Not yet. Jim leaned back in his chair. Nate, I'm going to give you some hard truth. In this state, infidelity doesn't matter much for divorce purposes. You're still looking at 50-50 split of assets, maybe alimony if there's a big income disparity. What if I could prove she's been lying about her income, hiding money? That would be different. Financial fraud is something the courts take seriously. We talked for another hour about strategy, timelines, and costs. Jim left me with homework. Document everything, gather financial records, and avoid doing anything stupid. Like punching family members? He asked. Like punching family members? That evening, Tara came home. She tried her key first, discovered the locks had been changed, and knocked. I let her wait 5 minutes before answering. She looked terrible, stressed, exhausted, like she'd been crying. Part of me felt bad for her, a very small part. We need to talk, she said. About what? About you disappearing for 3 days without a word? About you changing the locks on our house? About you attacking my brother? Your brother dumped scalding food on my head in front of your entire family. Your family laughed. You told me to apologize. It was an accident. It wasn't an accident, and we both know it. She pushed past me into the house. Fine. Grant was being an idiot, I'm sorry, but running away to Hawaii, what were you thinking? I was thinking I needed some time to figure out what I wanted. And what do you want? I looked at my wife. Really looked at her. Even stressed and tired, she was beautiful. Even after everything, part of me still loved her. But love isn't enough when there's no respect, no honesty, no loyalty. I want the truth, I said. Something flickered in her eyes. Fear. What truth? About where you've been going all those nights you're working late. About who you've been seeing. About the lies. I don't know what you're talking about. Room 12 at the Millbrook Inn. Ring any bells? The color drained from her face. She started to say something, stopped, and sat down hard on the couch. How long have you known? Long enough. She buried her face in her hands. Nate, I'm so sorry. It just happened. We didn't plan it. How long? 2 months? Maybe 3? How many times? Does it matter? It matters to me. She looked up, tears streaming down her face. I love you, Nate. I never stopped loving you. Funny way of showing it. It was a mistake. Quinn, he made me feel special, appreciated, like I mattered. And I didn't make you feel that way? You worked all the time. We never talked anymore. We were like roommates, not husband and wife. So instead of talking to me about it, you decided to start sleeping with your business partner. It wasn't supposed to happen like this. I sat down across from her. What was it supposed to happen like? I don't know. I was confused, lonely. Quinn was there. Is it over? She hesitated just long enough to give me my answer. I want it to be over. That's not what I asked. No, it's not over. At least she was finally being honest. Do you love him? I care about him. More than you care about me? Another hesitation. It's complicated. It's really not. You're either committed to this marriage or you're not. I want to be committed to this marriage. But you're not going to stop seeing him. I need time to figure things out. I nodded and stood up. Okay. Take all the time you need, but you can't figure it out from here. What do you mean? I mean, pack a bag and get out. Tonight. This is my house, too. Not anymore. You made your choice when you started screwing around behind my back. You can't kick me out of my own home. Watch me. She stood up, angry now instead of sorry. Fine, I'll stay with Sasha, but we're not done talking about this. Actually, we are. From now on, all communication goes through lawyers. Lawyers? Nate, we can work this out. We don't need lawyers. I already hired one. That got her attention. You what? Jim Patterson. Nice guy. He's looking forward to meeting you. She stared at me like I'd grown a second head. You're serious about this? Dead serious. What about counseling? What about trying to save our marriage? You should have thought about that before you started playing house with Quinn. She packed a bag while I sat in the kitchen, drinking a beer and listening to her slam drawers and mutter curses under her breath. Before she left, she stopped in the kitchen doorway. This isn't over, Nate. Yeah, it is. I'll fight you on everything. The house, the business, all of it. Looking forward to it. She slammed the door so hard it rattled the windows. I finished my beer in the blessed silence of my empty house. The next morning, I got back to work. Physical labor was good for processing emotional turmoil, and I had plenty of both. Mike showed up at the job site with coffee and donuts. How'd it go last night? He asked. She's gone. For good? For now. Divorce papers get filed next week. How are you feeling about that? Like I should have done it months ago. Any regrets? I thought about that while installing cabinet hardware. Did I regret 10 years of marriage? The good times we'd had before everything went wrong? The plans we'd made that would never happen now? Yeah, I said finally. I regret waiting so long to see who she really was. What's next? Legally? 50-50 split of everything? Probably some alimony? Practically? I start over. You'll be fine, Mike said. Better than fine. You're too smart and too stubborn to stay down. That afternoon, Quinn called me. Nate, it's Quinn Bailey. I know who you are. We need to talk. No, we don't. Look, what happened between Tara and me? It wasn't supposed to go this far. How far was it supposed to go? Long pause. I care about her, Nate. This isn't just some fling. Good for you. Anything else? She's divorcing you. We're going to be together. Congratulations. Hope you're happy. We will be. I'm sure. Just remember, if she'll cheat with you, she'll cheat on you. I hung up before he could respond. The divorce papers were filed Friday morning. By Friday afternoon, Tara had hired her own lawyer, some hotshot from the state capitol who specialized in protecting women's rights in divorce proceedings. Translation, he was going to try to take me to the cleaners. Jim called me that evening with an update. They're claiming irreconcilable differences, asking for half of everything, including your business, plus spousal support. On what grounds? They say you've been emotionally abusive and financially controlling. I almost laughed. Emotionally abusive? I built that woman's dream life. They've got witness statements from her family about your volatile behavior and history of violence. You mean punching Grant after he dumped food on my head? That, plus they're claiming you've been controlling her access to money and isolating her from friends and family. Jim, I worked 60-hour weeks to pay for her lifestyle. She spent money like it grew on trees, and her family treated me like garbage. I believe you, but we need to prove it. Bank records, credit card statements, anything that shows her spending patterns. I'll get them. And Nate, no more punching people, even if they deserve it. That weekend, I dove into financial records. What I found was enlightening. Tara had been living well beyond our means for years. Designer clothes, expensive dinners, spa treatments, shopping trips, all paid for with credit cards I didn't even know she had. In the past 6 months alone, she'd racked up $23,000 in debt. Money spent at hotels, restaurants, and stores I'd never heard of. But the most interesting discovery was a bank account I didn't know existed, an account with Tara's name only, containing $15,000 in deposits over the past 3 months, money that didn't come from her real estate commissions. I made copies of everything and called Jim. Where do you think this money came from? He asked. No idea, but I'm going to find out. Monday morning, I did something I'd never done before. I went to Tara's office. Millbrook Realty occupied a small building on Main Street between a coffee shop and a tax preparation service. The receptionist was a young woman named Ashley, who looked like she'd rather be anywhere else. I'm looking for information about my wife's sales records, I told her. Are you licensed to access that information? I'm her husband. Sorry, but I can't share client information with anyone except licensed agents. What about commission records, pay stubs? Same policy. You'd need written authorization from Tara. That wasn't happening. I was leaving when I ran into someone I knew. Betty Morrison, whose house Tara claimed to be showing all those nights. Nate Sullivan, how are you, honey? Hi, Mrs. Morrison. How's the house selling going? She looked confused. House selling? We're not selling our house. Oh, I thought Tara mentioned showing your place to some clients. No, dear. We love our house. Been there 32 years and plan to stay until they carry us out. Another lie. I was starting to lose count. Must have been a different Morrison family. Could be. There are Morrisons over in Riverside, but they just bought their place last year. I thanked Betty and walked back to my truck, pieces clicking into place. If Tara wasn't showing houses, where was that money coming from? And why did she need a secret bank account? That afternoon, I got my answer in the most unexpected way. I was grabbing lunch at Tony's Diner when I overheard two women talking in the booth behind me. Did you hear about the whole situation with Quinn Bailey? One asked. No. What about him? Apparently, he's been running some kind of side business, real estate deals that aren't exactly legitimate. My ears perked up. What kind of deals? Property flipping, but with false appraisals. Buying cheap houses, getting them appraised way over market value, then selling them to investors who don't know the area. That's fraud. Exactly, and word is, his business partner is in on it too. Who's his partner? That blonde woman, Tara something. She's married to that contractor guy. I felt sick. My wife wasn't just cheating on me, she was involved in real estate fraud. I called Jim immediately. We need to meet, now. An hour later, I was in Jim's office explaining what I had overheard. If this is true, Jim said, it changes everything. Financial fraud could mean criminal charges. What should I do? Nothing. We document what we know and we let the authorities handle the investigation. In the meantime, this gives us serious leverage in the divorce. How so? If Tara's involved in illegal activity, she can't claim half of assets that might be seized by the government. Plus, any money she made from fraud isn't marital property. It's evidence. For the first time in weeks, I felt like I had the upper hand. That feeling lasted exactly 2 days. Wednesday morning, I got a call from Detective Sarah Chen at the Millbrook Police Department. Mr. Sullivan, we need to talk. About what? Your wife has filed a complaint alleging domestic violence and financial misuse. We'd like you to come in for questioning. My blood ran cold. When? This afternoon would be good. Bring a lawyer. I called Jim, who met me at the police station an hour later. Detective Chen was a serious woman in her 40s who looked like she'd seen every kind of domestic dispute imaginable. Mr. Sullivan, your wife claims you've been controlling her access to money, monitoring her activities, and have a history of violent behavior. That's not true. She says you recently attacked her brother at a family gathering. I punched him after he dumped scalding food on my head in front of 30 people. She also says you've been following her, going through her personal belongings and making threats. I discovered she was having an affair. I did some investigating. What kind of investigating? Jim put a hand on my arm. My client doesn't need to answer that. Detective Chen leaned back. Mr. Sullivan, domestic violence is a serious crime. If your wife is afraid of you... My wife is afraid of getting caught, I interrupted. Ask her about the secret bank account. Ask her about Quinn Bailey's real estate scams. That's a serious accusation. It's also true. Detective Chen made some notes. We'll look into all allegations. In the meantime, I'm advising you to stay away from your wife and her family. That won't be a problem. Outside the police station, Jim was grim. This is bad, Nate. It's bad. Even if the charges don't stick, it gives her ammunition for the divorce. What kind of ammunition? Restraining order, claims of misuse, maybe temporary custody of assets until the case is resolved. What assets? We don't have kids. The business, the house, your truck. If a judge thinks you're dangerous, they can freeze everything until the divorce is final. I felt the walls closing in. Tara was playing dirty and she was playing to win. What do? We fight back, but carefully. No more confrontations, no more following her around. We stick to legal channels and let the evidence speak for itself. That night, I sat in my empty house, drinking beer and feeling sorry for myself. 10 years of marriage had come down to this: police investigations, lawyers, and character assassination. My phone rang. Unknown number. Nate, it's Ginny Walsh. Ginny was one of Tara's friends, the quiet one who usually stayed out of drama. We'd always gotten along well. Hi, Ginny. What's up? I probably shouldn't be calling you, but there are some things you should know. What kind of things? About Tara and Quinn, about what they've been doing. I'm listening. Can we meet somewhere? I don't want to talk about this over the phone. We agreed to meet at Murphy's Bar, a dive on the outskirts of town where nobody we knew would see us. Ginny was already there when I arrived, nursing a wine and looking nervous. This is hard for me, she said. Tara's been my friend for years. But what she's doing is wrong. To you, and to other people. Tell me. Ginny took a deep breath. The real estate thing with Quinn, it's worse than you think. They're not just inflating appraisals. They're creating fake buyers, phantom sales, using shell companies to move money around. How do you know this? Because Quinn tried to get my ex-husband involved. Danny works in banking, and Quinn wanted him to help with loan approvals for some of these fake sales. Did he do it? Hell no. Danny might be a lot of things, but he's not stupid enough to commit bank fraud. What else do you know? Tara's been bragging about how much money they're making. She bought a $5,000 purse last week, paid cash. Where's the money going? Offshore accounts, as far as I can tell. Quinn's got some financial advisor helping them hide it. This was bigger than I thought. Not just infidelity, but organized financial fraud. Why are you telling me this? Ginny looked uncomfortable. Because Tara's planning to screw you over completely. She thinks if she can make you look like an abusive husband, she can get everything in the divorce and you'll be too scared to fight back. What did she tell you? That you've been threatening her? That you're dangerous? That she's afraid for her safety? Do you believe that? I've known you for 5 years, Nate. You've never raised your voice at anyone, much less hit them, except for Grant. And frankly, he had it coming. I almost smiled. Thanks for that. There's more. Tara and Quinn are planning to disappear after the divorce is final. They've got enough money hidden away to start over somewhere else. Where? I don't know. Somewhere without extradition treaties, if I had to guess. Ginny, would you be willing to testify about what you know? She hesitated. If it comes to that, yes. But I need protection. If Quinn finds out I talked to you, what about him? He's not as smooth as he pretends to be. He's got a temper, and he's connected to some dangerous people. What kind of dangerous people? The kind who don't like it when their money laundering operations get exposed. I felt a chill. This was spinning out of control fast. Ginny, you need to be careful. Don't let anyone know we talked. I won't. But Nate, watch your back. If they think you're getting too close to the truth. She didn't finish the sentence. She didn't need to. I drove home through empty streets, my mind racing. Tara wasn't just cheating and lying. She was involved with criminals. And now she was trying to destroy my reputation to cover her tracks. But I had allies now. Jim, Mike, and apparently Ginny. People who knew the truth. Sometimes that's enough. Sometimes it's not. The next morning brought bad news. Jim called at 7 a.m. They got a temporary restraining order. You can't go within 500 feet of Tara, her workplace, or any member of her family. Based on what evidence? Her testimony and Grant's statement about the attack. That's it? That's enough for a temporary order? We can fight it at the hearing next week. What about the house? Still yours for now, but she's asking for exclusive use of the marital residence. She moved out voluntarily. Doesn't matter. If the judge thinks you're a threat, she gets the house. I hung up and sat in my kitchen, furious. Tara was playing the sufferer while committing felonies, and the legal system was helping her do it. My phone buzzed. Text message from an unknown number. Stop digging or you'll regret it. Then another. Some rocks are better left unturned. I screenshot both messages and forwarded them to Jim. Anonymous threats weren't exactly subtle. The weekend was quiet. Too quiet. I worked on small projects around the house, trying to stay busy and avoid thinking about how my life had imploded. Sunday evening, Mike stopped by with pizza and beer. You look like hell, he said. Feel worse. Any word from the police about those text messages? They're investigating, which means they'll do nothing unless someone actually tries to eliminate me. Cheerful thought. We ate pizza and watched baseball. Neither of us mentioned the elephant in the room, that I was probably going to lose everything I'd worked for. Around 9 o'clock, Mike's phone rang. Rodriguez. Yeah, what? Are you sure? We'll be right there. He hung up, face grim. That was my buddy at the fire department. Your business just burned down. I stared at him. What? Sullivan Construction. Someone torched the workshop. It's gone. We drove across town in silence. I could see the smoke from 6 blocks away. The workshop was a total loss. 10 years of tools, equipment, and materials reduced to charred rubble. 2 fire trucks were still on scene, hosing down hotspots. Fire Chief Williams approached us. I'd known Bill since high school. Sorry, Nate. Nothing we could do by the time we got here. How did it start? Too early to tell officially, but it looks like arson. Someone used an accelerant. Any witnesses? None so far. Happened around 8 p.m. Nobody was around to see anything. I walked through the ruins of my business looking at melted metal and ash that used to be my livelihood. Everything I'd built, literally up in smoke. My phone buzzed. Another unknown number. Told you to stop digging. Mike read the message over my shoulder and swore creatively. Time to call the cops again, he said. What's the point? They can't prove anything. Maybe not, but this is escalating fast. He was right. First, the false domestic violence accusations, now arson. Someone was trying to destroy my life piece by piece. I thought about what Ginny had said about Quinn being connected to dangerous people who didn't like their money laundering operations exposed. Maybe I'd gotten too close to the truth. Maybe they were right to be worried. Monday morning, I met with Jim and Detective Chen at the police station. The arson investigation was being handled by the state fire marshal, but Chen wanted to know if I thought it was connected to the domestic violence case. My client has been receiving threatening text messages, Jim said, handing over printouts. Detective Chen studied them. Could be related to the fire, could be unrelated maltreatment. Someone burned down my business the same day I started asking questions about financial fraud, I said. That's not a coincidence. What kind of financial fraud? I told her what Ginny had shared about Quinn's real estate scams. Chen took notes, but didn't seem impressed. Allegations without evidence, she said. We'd need documents, witnesses, something concrete. I have a witness, Ginny Walsh. We'll talk to her. But, Mr. Sullivan, I have to ask, is it possible you're connecting dots that aren't really connected? Sometimes when people are under stress, they see conspiracies where there's just bad luck. I wanted to argue, but Jim shook his head slightly. We understand, Jim said. We're just asking that you investigate all possibilities. Outside the police station, Jim was blunt. They think you're paranoid. Are you starting to think that too? No, but we need more than Ginny's word. We need documents, financial records, something that proves what Quinn and Tara are doing. How do we get that? Carefully and legally. That afternoon, I got a call that changed everything. Nate, it's Danny Walsh, Ginny's ex-husband. Hi, Danny. What's up? Ginny told me she talked to you about Quinn Bailey. Yeah. I've got something you need to see. Can we meet? We met at a truck stop outside town. Danny was a thin, nervous man who looked like he hadn't slept in days. Quinn approached me 3 months ago, he said. Wanted me to help approve loans for some properties he was flipping. And I said no, but I kept copies of everything he showed me, call it insurance. He handed me a manila envelope thick with documents. Bank statements, property appraisals, loan applications, all fake. Quinn's been running a sophisticated fraud operation, using shell companies to buy and sell properties to himself at inflated prices. I flipped through the papers. Even to my untrained eye, it looked damning. Why are you giving me this? Because Quinn came to see me yesterday, offered me $50,000 to disappear for a while, said things were getting complicated and he needed to clean up loose ends. Loose ends like witnesses? Exactly. I think he's planning to run, and anyone who knows about his operation is a liability, including Tara. I don't know, but I wouldn't want to be in her shoes when this thing falls apart. I thanked Danny and drove straight to Jim's office. He spent an hour going through the documents, getting more excited with each page. This is it, he said finally. This proves everything. Bank fraud, real estate fraud, money laundering. Quinn's looking at serious federal charges. What about Tara? If she's been helping him, she's looking at the same charges. So, what do? We turn this over to the FBI. This is way beyond local police jurisdiction. What about the divorce? If Tara gets arrested for federal fraud charges, the divorce becomes the least of her problems. For the first time in weeks, I felt hopeful. Justice might actually be possible. But first, I had to survive long enough to see it happen. Tuesday morning, I was drinking coffee and reading the newspaper when someone knocked on my door. Hard, insistent knocking that made it clear they weren't going away. I looked through the peephole and saw Grant Hoffman standing on my porch. My first instinct was to ignore him. The restraining order technically applied to Tara, not her family, but talking to Grant seemed like a bad idea. He knocked again, harder. "Nate, I know you're in there. We need to talk." Against my better judgment, I opened the door. Grant looked terrible. Unshaven, bloodshot eyes, clothes wrinkled like he'd slept in them. "What do you want, Grant?" "I need to tell you something about Tara and Quinn." "I'm listening." "Can I come in? I don't want to talk about this on your porch." I let him in, but stayed near the door in case I needed to throw him out. "My sister's in trouble," he said. "Big trouble." "What kind of trouble?" "The FBI came to see my mom yesterday. Asked questions about Tara's finances, where she got money for expensive clothes and jewelry." "What did your mom tell them?" "Nothing. She doesn't know anything." "But Nate, I do." He sat down heavily on my couch. "Quinn's been using Tara to move money through fake real estate transactions. She thought it was just aggressive sales tactics, but it's way worse than that." "How much worse?" "They've stolen over $2 million in the past year. Money from investors, down payments that never made it to escrow, loan proceeds from phantom sales." I felt dizzy. $2 million. And now? Now Quinn's panicking. He thinks someone's been feeding information to the authorities. "Someone has." Grant looked at me sharply. "You? Among others." "Jesus, Nate, do you know what you've done? These aren't just white-collar criminals. Quinn's been washing money for some very dangerous people." Ginny told me. "Then you know how serious this is. If they think you're a threat." "They already burned down my business." "That was a warning. Next time it won't be your workshop." I studied Grant's face. He seemed genuinely scared. "Why are you telling me this? Last week you dumped food on my head." "Because despite what you think, I don't want anyone to get hurt, including you." "What about Tara?" "She's already gone. Left town yesterday with Quinn, probably heading for Mexico or somewhere else without extradition." "The FBI know?" "They will soon, but by then it'll be too late." Grant stood up to leave, then turned back. "Nate, that thing at the reunion? I'm sorry. I was being an A." "Yeah, you were. For what it's worth, you deserve better than what my sister did to you." After he left, I called Jim immediately. "The FBI needs to know Tara and Quinn have fled." "Already on it. Agent Martinez is handling the case now. They've issued warrants for both of them." "What about the dangerous people Quinn was working with?" "That's part of the investigation. But Nate, you need to be extra careful. If these people think you're responsible for exposing their operation..." "I know, Grant already warned me. Maybe you should leave town for a while. Until this blows over." "I'm not running again." "Then at least stay with someone. Don't be alone." I spent that night at Mike's house, sleeping on his couch with his security system armed and his tool collection nearby. The next morning, Agent Martinez called. "Mr. Sullivan, I'm Special Agent Martinez, FBI Financial Crimes Division. We need to talk." We met at the federal building in the state capitol. Martinez was a serious woman in her 30s who looked like she could bench press a car. "You've provided valuable information about the Bailey Sullivan fraud operation," she said. "Happy to help. We've arrested Quinn Bailey this morning, found him trying to board a flight to Costa Rica." "What about Tara?" "Still looking for her. But we found something interesting in Bailey's hotel room." She slid a photograph across the desk. It showed me leaving the police station after my interview about the arson. "Bailey had this photo, along with your home address, work schedule, and daily routine. He was definitely planning something." "Like what?" "Given the weapons we found in his possession, probably nothing pleasant." I felt sick. While I'd been playing amateur detective, Quinn had been planning to eliminate me. "There's more," Martinez continued. "We've identified the criminal organization Bailey was laundering money for. They're not happy about losing $2 million, and they blame you for exposing the operation." "So what happens now?" "We can offer you protective custody until we round up the rest of the organization." "For how long?" "Could be months, maybe longer." I thought about that. Months in hiding, looking over my shoulder, waiting for the all clear that might never come. What if I said no? Then you'd be taking a significant risk. These people don't forget, and they don't forgive. But you'll catch them eventually. Most of them, but there's always a chance someone slips through. I made my decision. "I'll take my chances. Mr. Sullivan, I strongly advise. I've been running and hiding for weeks. I'm tired of being afraid. Martinez looked like she thought I was making a mistake, but she respected my choice. We'll do everything we can to protect you. Extra patrols, check-ins, the works. But be smart. Vary your routine, stay alert, don't take unnecessary risks. I drove home from the meeting feeling strangely calm. For the first time in months, I knew exactly what I was facing. No more mysteries, no more uncertainty, just survival. The next few weeks passed in a blur of FBI interviews, court hearings, and media attention. The fraud case was big news in our small town, and my name was all over the local paper. Local contractor exposes $1 million fraud ring. Husband's investigation leads to federal arrests. The attention was uncomfortable, but it served a purpose. Everyone in town now knew the truth about Tara and Quinn. Jim called with updates on the divorce proceedings. With Tara facing federal charges, the divorce is pretty straightforward. She's forfeited any claim to marital assets. What about her debts? Those are her problem now. Credit card companies can't come after you for charges she made on cards you didn't know about. And the house? All yours, along with what's left of the business assets after the fire. Insurance was covering most of the workshop damage, and I was already making plans to rebuild. Bigger this time, better equipped. The FBI found Tara 3 weeks later in a motel outside Phoenix. She'd been arrested trying to withdraw money from one of Quinn's hidden accounts. Agent Martinez called to let me know. She's agreed to cooperate in exchange for a reduced sentence. Should help us round up the rest of the organization. What's she looking at? Probably 5 to 7 years. Could have been 20 if she hadn't cooperated. And Quinn? 15 to 20. He was the mastermind, and he's not cooperating. I felt a mix of satisfaction and sadness. Justice was being served, but it was hard to celebrate when it involved the woman I'd once loved. The divorce was finalized on a rainy Thursday in November. I signed the papers in Jim's office, officially ending 10 years of marriage. "How do you feel?" Jim asked. "Free," I said, and I meant it. That evening, I went to Murphy's bar to have a drink and think about the future. I was sitting alone at the bar when Sasha Winters walked in. Sasha had been Tara's best friend and biggest enabler. She'd known about the affair from the beginning and had helped cover for it. She saw me and hesitated, probably debating whether to leave. Then she walked over. "Nate." "Sasha. Can I buy you a drink?" "I've got one, thanks." She ordered a martini and sat down next to me. "I owe you an apology," she said. "For what specifically? Helping my wife cheat on me or lying to my face about it for months?" "Both." "Apology noted. I tried to talk her out of it, the affair. Did you try real hard?" "Not as hard as I should have." I finished my beer. "Sasha, why are you here?" "Because I feel guilty. Because Tara was my friend, but what she did to you was wrong. And because everyone in town is talking about how you exposed the whole fraud operation. People are calling you a hero." "I'm not a hero. I'm just a guy who got tired of being lied to." "Still, you did the right thing. Eventually." She finished her martini in one gulp. "For what it's worth, I think Tara really did love you. She just lost her way." "Love isn't enough if there's no respect." "No, I guess it's not." She left cash on the bar and stood up to leave. "Nate, I hope you find someone who deserves you." "Thanks, Sasha." After she left, I sat alone with my thoughts and my beer. The bartender, an old-timer named Joe, wiped down glasses and pretended not to listen to conversations. "Women," he said finally. "Can't live with them. Can't understand why they do the things they do." Amen to that. I ordered another beer and thought about what came next. The business was rebuilding. The house was mine. The debts were gone. For the first time in years, I felt optimistic about the future. 6 months later, I was installing crown molding in a new house when my phone rang. "Mr. Sullivan, this is Agent Martinez." "Hi, Agent Martinez. What's up?" "We got the last of them. The entire money laundering organization has been dismantled." "That's good news. It means you can stop looking over your shoulder. The threat is over. Appreciate everything you did. Thank you for your cooperation. Without your information, we never would have cracked this case." After she hung up, I set down my tools and stepped outside. It was a beautiful spring day, warm and sunny with a light breeze. I was free. Really, truly free. Mike pulled up in his truck as I was standing there. "Why are you grinning like an idiot?" he asked. "FBI just called. It's over, all of it." About damn time. Buy you a beer to celebrate? Hell yes. We went to Tony's Diner instead of Murphy's Bar. I was tired of drinking away my problems. It was time to start solving them. So what's next? Mike asked over coffee and pie. Business is good. Got 3 new contracts this month? I meant personally. Haven't thought about it much. Maybe you should. Maybe. But I had been thinking about it. About dating again, maybe. About building something real with someone honest. About second chances. The bell over the diner door chimed, and a woman walked in. Mid-30s, brown hair, wearing jeans and a Millbrook Elementary School t-shirt. She looked familiar, but I couldn't place her. That's Jennifer Hayes, Mike said, following my gaze. She teaches 3rd grade, divorced about 2 years ago. How do you know that? My nephew's in her class, good teacher, nice woman. Jennifer ordered coffee to go and smiled at us on her way out. She seems nice, I said. She is? You should ask her out. Maybe I will. Maybe you should. I watched her through the window as she got into a sensible sedan and drove away. Maybe Mike was right. Maybe it was time to start thinking about the future instead of dwelling on the past. My phone buzzed, text message from an unknown number. For a split second, my heart raced. Then I remembered what Agent Martinez had said. The threat was over. I opened the message. Hey, Nate, this is Grant. Heard the good news about the FBI case. Would love to buy you a beer sometime and apologize properly for everything. Grant. I stared at the message for a long moment, then deleted it without responding. Some bridges didn't need to be rebuilt, but some did. I thought about Jennifer Hayes and her smile, about second chances and fresh starts, about building something new from the ashes of something old. I finished my coffee, left a tip for the waitress, and walked out into the sunshine. There was work to do,